Ed, that was always going to be a tough struggle to manage to bat out the last day, but Sussex came pretty close, really.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's very difficult to bat out the last day. I thought we had a little wobble there. I thought at lunch we were in a decent position. Obviously, to lose those 3 or 4 wickets quickly was disappointing. I think the last 2 obviously showed that you could bat, and I thought it was the flattest the wicket had been. So, even looking at it, winning the game, I think if we'd had the extra seamer at the start of the game, I think we would have been chasing far less. So that was obviously the disappointing part of the game. I think all the games we lost this year, we really felt like we had a good chance of winning them, but obviously fate is playing its hand with injuries.
It was sad to lose Luke Wells and Luke Wright in successive overs. That really just took it away from you, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. As I said, in trying to draw the game, it did. Especially obviously Wells, who was getting his 100, but to lose the second one straight away was a bit of a killer blow, because obviously you want the bloke who's in to try and get the new guy in, and then obviously Brownie's a very fine player and showed he got 60, and obviously if the two of them had a partnership there, elongated the game somewhat, we could have held out.
That was a wonderful innings from Luke Wells. We saw him a few weeks ago get that 92 against Warwickshire, and eventually got home on that day. Battled for over after over. It was terrific.
Yeah, he was fantastic again, and he shows he's got a real head for the battle, and if we ever need a sort of rear guard action, he's often in that battle for us. He's a hardened cricketer. I think he's still got a lot of work to do in other areas, but his leg spin's obviously coming on fantastic as well, so he looks like being a very good 4-day cricketer for us going forward.
Yeah, with an extra bowler, they probably wouldn't have got quite away from you the way they did on day 3.
Well, I think the first innings as well was probably the important one, really, because we had very good bowling conditions. They got away from us obviously at the start of the game, but then we pegged them back to, I think it was 100 for 4 or something like that, and then obviously only had 2 seamers, and I think both innings it really cost us. Obviously Ajmal came into the game saying he's maybe felt it a tiny bit, but it was a different injury to the one he had before, and as I said, we had Tim Linley, who's just coming back from a big injury himself, and obviously McGoffin bowled very well. If we'd had 3 or 4 fit seamers, I think, as I said, having had the best of the conditions probably to bowl in, I think we'd have been chasing far less. I'd like to think we'd have bowled around for 220, 230 in the first innings, and they certainly wouldn't have got that many in the second innings. And it showed today, as we thought it would be, the wicket was flattest in the last innings, and it was a fairly good wicket. Didn't particularly turn much there, so I think we would have fancied our chances chasing anything 300 or around 300. Obviously we got up to 300, not even batting that well, so I think we had best of conditions but the worst of the fortune.
What about the 2 new loan signings? Tim Linley was here at Sussex before, because he gets 5 wickets in the first inning, as you say, showed he could bat at the end, and George Duckworth, well, again batted all right, but couldn't get a lot of turnout there, could he?
Yeah, it wasn't a wicket. I don't think we misread the wicket. I think we obviously hoped to have 3 seamers, and George was going to do the donkey work for us in both innings. Obviously with the injuries we haven't got many resources to change that. We didn't think Asher Zaid would be able to get through the volume of overs that we'd need from him with 3 seamers, so that's why we played George. Obviously he's an exciting cricketer who I know a lot about, but there wasn't a lot in the wicket for him, I'll be completely honest, and George bowled like he always does, pretty consistently, but as I said, there wasn't a huge amount of turn there for some. He was dealt a poor hand by the fact that we only had 2 seamers, and he had to do a different job to the one he was probably supposed to be doing. So, as I said, it was handy to have Luke there to bowl the overs that he bowled as well. Otherwise, obviously with Chris Nash getting sick as well, he couldn't bowl. So it was obviously, we were limited resources, and it's obviously frustrating from a captaincy point of view not to have that, and to know that you actually are in a good position to do stuff regarding the pitch, but actually don't have the resources to actually do what you need to do to get the wickets.
What's the situation with your fast bowlers? Are some of them coming back? Matt Hobden, I think, was just resting. He can come back.
Matt Hobden was resting, and I think it was the right decision to rest him. Obviously, we've been handy to have him in retrospect, but Arundel's not the place for the type of bowler that he is generally, and he played all 7 games up till now, and he needed the rest, so that's for sure. I think it's often a graveyard for fast bowlers here because of the heavy ground, so I think him missing out was the right decision still. Ollie Robinson's played a lot of cricket as well, having come off not a lot of cricket, so I think in retrospect obviously it would have been great to have him as well, but that's you make these decisions before you know about injuries, so we've still got those 2 in the hutch, and obviously McGoffin's still fit, so we've got the 3 of them hopefully for Edgbaston, hopefully, and famous last words, and then we'll see what we do with the rest of the attack.
Yeah, it is Edgbaston next. Now you had a double over Warwickshire last year, never been done for like years and years and years. What chances then a double this year over Warwickshire again? Because you beat them at Hove by that 1 wicket.
Yeah, so we're actually the team isn't too down now. You'd think we would be if having won 3 and lost 5, but it's one of those ones where I think we could have lost those for 3 ones we won, and we could have won all 8 of them, to be honest with you. If we've had our opportunities, and I really think we have been dealt. I wanted to be a bit poor me. I think we're very realistic about where we are, and I think when we get our full team out in the park and everyone stays fit, we're a match for anyone. You know, as we've shown that over the last couple of years. So, you know, Warwickshire are a fine team, and I still think they're one of the best 2 or 3 teams, along with these guys, and probably Yorkshire in terms of their resources and the amount of, you know, match-winning players they have in their squad. So to have beaten them 3 out of 3 the last 3 times is a great effort. But we know we've got our work cut out going up there. We've got to get a few people back in the park, and we've got to figure out a formula to keep them on the park.
Yeah, because you want the wins sort of now. You don't want to, you know, any last-minute wobbles right at the end of the season if you're not picking up the wins now, do you?
Yeah, well, as I said, we're halfway through the season. We have 80 odd points, you know, so it's not a disaster at all. You know, if you double that, you're certainly not going down. You know, anyway, I wouldn't have thought so. So, I mean, it's very disappointing to be in this position, because I thought if we kept all our players on the park, and we'd have a really good chance of winning the competition this year. It looks to be sort of fading away a little bit, which is obviously disappointing at this stage. But as I said, I think a lot of it is circumstance and the way it's gone, and the type of pitches we played on, and a few tosses and a lot of injuries. So it's very difficult to win games if you haven't got bowlers who can take a lot of wickets. And that's not saying anything about the bowlers. It's just the way it is. People get injured, and it's a very dodgy business bowling fast. You know, so Paul Cochrane get injured in this game. He looks like he's going to miss out for them in the near future. Graham Muniz has had his problems as well for Durham. So it's not certainly just us, but I think we've had the bad hand dealt to us this year.